And I think we got to be like, we watch movies just in terms of like, just media literacy, like for young people, to just kind of understand like who people have love for. So the Duke brothers, you peep how they have, I wrote the names down. You see the bust of Ben Franklin. You got, who was a slaveholder. Then you got the pic of Ronald Reagan, right? The picture of Ronald Reagan. We know what he got into, right? And how his actions affected the black community in the 1980s. A picture of Richard Nixon. So we take that back to 72. And then even like with Richard Nixon and his program to try to get us to replace the Black Power movement with black capitalism, but not even a black capitalism that really was about institution building and control for us. It's like, we're going to give y'all some of the crumbs from the wealthy white people, right? Dwight Eisenhower, had a picture of him. And I don't fuck with Eisenhower because Eisenhower was the president that was, alive when Lumumba got assassinated, you know what I'm saying, over in the Congo, you know what I'm saying? So when I think of him, that's what I think about. Of course, they got the typical picture of George Washington. You got to have the George Washington pick. But just, just those ideas. And then also, I guess, in terms of, since we're talking about nation building, well, independent nation building for black people, for African people, then, this movie is it makes me think more about like farming, makes me think more about land, and because our people got to eat. And, so they're dealing with the commodity side of it and, investing in the different commodities futures and the cocoa, the sugar, the coffee beans, the orange juice, and the guys and all of that. It really makes me think more about like how we can get into the science of that. And then, the last thing I wanted to say was, it's this quote from the Secretary of Agriculture. I don't know if y'all familiar with this, but the Secretary of Agriculture in 1976, he was asked to step down. And I remember I was watching a lecture by Frances Cress Welsing, and she was talking about Europeans. And she said that the Secretary of Agriculture in 1976, who served under Richard Nixon and served under Gerald Ford after him, he was asked to step down because, he's a racist white dude from Indiana. And he made this comment. He said, basically all the coloreds or the niggas want is loose shoes, tight pussy, and a warm place to shit. So, and these are like, this was the Secretary of Agriculture saying, and it's documented. You can Google that, look that up. Look, his name was Secretary of Agriculture, Earl Butz. Earl Butz, B-U-T-Z, Earl Butz, that's what he said. And can't make that up. Show like, and again, to the people that are out here today that are angry by, police terrorism or racism or whatever, it's like, this is not new. Like, that happened in 1976, and it wasn't new in 1976. So, but again, like, one of the things this movie definitely made me think more about is like, in terms of, in the context of nation building, like, how are we going to feed our people? And a lot of things in this movie can push us to think about like, damn, well, we do need a lot of wheat, and we do need a lot of, orange juice, and we need all these things. And then one other thing too, because I thought about Bobby Wright, because when, Bobby Wright mentioned that, he said, Russia is not Marxist, Russia is not communist, Russia is nationalist. And he said, if they wasn't nationalists, they wouldn't be buying wheat from the United States. And I thought about that. Now, I haven't studied Marxism or communism enough to really substantiate what he said on my own. But what I will say is that, we got to think about like, like what are those that are higher up in the power structure really? What type of moves are they making? And then what are they telling us? Because it's kind of almost like, because remember earlier in this conversation, I was like, yo, this part made me think about American History X. And if you remember that movie, American History X, when he was all gung ho, Nazi this, Nazi that, he goes to jail, and then he's looking at the old head Nazis, and he really believed in the shit that they was teaching him and what he was reading in Mein Kampf and all that. But then you see the older Nazis doing drug deals with the black people. So he like, whoa, what y'all doing? And then they had to kick it to him like, listen, mind your business. This don't concern you. So it's like the higher ups, they have a certain type of, plan in place, and they need those that are like lower, I guess, so to speak, to just kind of play their part. They got pawns. It's like game theory. You got different levels of participants, in the situation. Mm-hmm. So it just made me think of like about a lot of them things. A lot of the things from taking a look at it now.
And we got a couple comments I want to bring up real quick. We got Jonathan, right, who asked the question, you guys participate in the financial markets, futures, forex, stocks? Absolutely. That's exactly what we do. And I was going to bring up a point about that as well. I'm going to show this real fast. He also asked, he makes a point. move away from gambling, etc. Learn how to invest our own money. I think it's that part, but I think we also learn to invest together, right? You look at these big entities, whether we're talking about Duke and Duke or whatever it may be. They're not built with one person or one person's money. It's about group economics for one. And for two, also what I thought about in watching this movie, when you talk about how we're going to feed ourselves, it also reminded me of something that we talk to our students. So shout out to all our students from Body Hill University. I see some of you guys watching right now, and it's about information that you have that's valuable, but you don't even recognize that it is valuable, right? And I say that because when he came in and he was talking about why he wanted to make the trade that he wanted to make, he took all the information he had, like, had nothing to do with the fundamentals that you're taught or any sort of analysis in terms of trading commodities. It was all about what he knew from the street. But there's a value in that. There's an absolute value in that in the market, right? It's an absolute value in that. And me and Corey just did an actual live last week. We talked about the investor mindset when you start yourself and you see things. But again, it's about taking that to help build the community. And we have people that have different skill sets. So when I watched this, I was like, man, we don't even recognize how powerful we can be. And this is a good example for it,
Yeah.
So
Jose, in terms of value, remember real quick, remember the scene? Winthorpe goes to the pawn shop. He's trying to sell his watch. Yeah. And he's like, it's retail, $6,000.
Philadelphia
is for $50. So again, value. Like it's subjective based on who's in a position of power. In that situation, BB King was in a position of power. So he's like, I'm only giving you $50 for that. Now I hope that if that was a real life situation, BB King's character would take that watch and then go flip it and get that $6,000, or for whatever. But he told that white man, listen, I'm only $50.
He said it was an exclusive Ross Fouchot. I never even heard of that before. I went and looked it up as real because I was like, is this a real thing? Like, y'all don't know about this Ross Fouchot. Like, what y'all know about this?
I know in Philadelphia that watch worth $50.
$50.
Yeah, like I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Philadelphia. So Jose says, in order for that to be taken serious, we need certified traders so we can generate serious capital. We have them though. Like, and we talk to traders like all day long on our podcast. We actually have like certified traders, and people who are licensed commodity traders, options traders. Like, so we have them. But the thing is, we and to Corey makes this point all the time, everybody's working in a silo, right? Yeah. Whether someone's talking about like urban farming or, getting capital together. Even within the industry that the real estate game, we all working in silos. I know so many successful people, but none of us are working together, and it's crazy. Like it's just difficult to do.
Some people say
here's something I don't know if you noticed this.
We're not as disorganized. We're disconnected.